In a land where the sun constantly beats down on barren, arid soil and every drop of water counts, Orthodox Jewish communities have mastered the art of living without modern electricity. But how are they handling something as basic, yet essential as hot water? Are they using some of the modern technologies to survive? Let's get this curiosity answered. Long before gadgets and electric heaters became household staples, Jewish families in the desert ingeniously discovered ways to heat water for cooking, bathing, and even performing sacred rituals, all while staying true to ancient religious guidelines. Imagine living in a place where every resource is precious and every decision about energy use is steeped in tradition. In the early days of settlement, when modern conveniences were nowhere in sight, these communities relied on one simple yet remarkably effective methods. One common solution was the wood-fired stove, built from locally sourced stone or brick. Families would gather bundles of dry wood, each log carefully chosen for its ability to burn cleanly, and stoke a steady fire. The heat from the flame would warm a large metal pot or even a copper coil attached to the stove, slowly raising the temperature of the water inside. The process may seem basic compared to today's electric water heaters, but it was an artful blend of self-reliance and resourcefulness. And how about that fire driving people to sit together and talk their hearts out? A double score. It's fascinating to observe how necessity breeds invention. In these communities, the challenge of heating water was met by both a practical mindset and a deep commitment to halachic or Jewish law traditions. On the Sabbath, for instance, operating electric devices is strictly forbidden. Instead, the emphasis falls on methods that require no direct human intervention once set in motion. This is where alternatives like solar water heating comes to play. The extreme Israeli desert, where the sun shines with nearly constant intensity, solar water heaters are not just a luxury, they're a lifeline. The sun does all the heavy lifting, if we're to be plain. Kind of like how one tap on like and subscribe sets everything in motion, no further effort required. Nearly 90% of households in Israel have adopted solar water heaters, and in the desert, these systems are absolutely vital. But how exactly do they work? The concept is wonderfully straightforward. Special panels or tanks absorb sunlight while they transfer its energy to water flowing through a network of tubes. As the water circulates, it gradually warms until it reaches the perfect temperature for daily use. Isn't it almost poetic that the same sun that makes the desert so harsh also provides the essential warmth for these communities? The beauty of this system lies not only in its simplicity but also in its sustainability. Modern materials like specialized plastics and metals enhance the efficiency of these solar collectors, yet the principle remains the same as it was for our ancestors. It's a delightful mix of modern innovation and time-tested tradition. Well, you see, many households complement their solar water heaters with water jackets, double-walled containers that act like giant thermoses. Once water is heated, it is stored in these insulated tanks, keeping them warm long after the sun has dipped below the horizon. Yet while solar energy plays a starring role, wood-fired stoves continue to be an important part of the picture. The charm of a wood stove lies in its connection to the past, a reminder of how generations of desert dwellers stoked fires over carefully tended logs. These stoves aren't merely functional, they're symbols of endurance and community spirit. When a family gathers around a wood stove to heat water, they're also gathering memories and stories passed down from one generation to the next. Consider also the method of communal ovens, which have been used in many small settlements such as the Jews. In these settings, a large, centrally located oven built from clay and stone serves multiple families. Not only does it bake bread and cook meals, but it also heats water. The thick walls of the oven retain heat long after the fire has been extinguished, providing a gentle, steady warmth that stands in stark contrast to the rapid cooling of modern appliances. These ovens are the heat of the community, where neighbors meet, share stories, and celebrate together. It is in these moments that the utility of simple technology and the power of human collaboration shine the brightest. One might ask, why did these communities choose to live in such a manner? To many outsiders, living without modern electricity might seem like a step backward. However, for these Orthodox Jewish communities, it is a conscious, deliberate choice that reinforces spiritual purity and mindfulness. Many see their reliance on natural energy, like the sun's rays, as an expression of faith and a respectful nod to the tradition. On the Sabbath, for example, they set timers and use systems that operate automatically, ensuring they remain in harmony with the halachic principles. This approach doesn't just satisfy legal requirements, it creates a shared experience that binds the community together. In these desert settlements, life moves at a different pace. Neighbors collaborate to install and maintain alternative heating systems, and every member of the community, young or whether old, learns the art of resourceful living. It's not uncommon to hear an elder proudly recount how, as a child, they would help gather wood or carefully monitor the water temperature in the communal tank. Such experiences not only teach practical skills but also instill values of cooperation and self-reliance. In the absence of centralized services, everyone contributes a little, and in doing so, they reinforce their collective strength. The blend of ingenuity and tradition is also visible in the way these communities address seasonal challenges. During the sweltering heat of the day, the solar water heater works at full capacity, while the insulated water jackets ensure that warm water remains available into the cold desert nights. And on the days when the sun is obscured by clouds or when fuel for wood stoves is scarce, families are quick to share resources. It's a system of mutual support that turns individual challenges into community triumphs. When one neighbor experiences a hiccup with their heating system, others rally to offer assistance, be it through sharing spare parts or lending a hand with repairs. Could it be that this interdependence is as valuable as the technology itself? The thing is, how Orthodox Jews in the Israeli desert have adapted to life without conventional electricity is as old as their history in the land. For centuries, Jewish people have survived in the most challenging environments by blending faith and resourcefulness. One cannot help but be inspired by the personal anecdotes that have emerged from these communities. And these Jews are all about faith. It's all they've ever known and will ever likely to know. They believe in one all-knowing God who gave the Torah, including both written and oral laws, to guide them. This faith shapes every aspect of their life. Daily practices like prayer, dietary laws are followed not just as rituals, but as expressions of devotion. Observing the Sabbath is a weekly reaffirmation for their bond with God, and living off these ancient methods of survival is their desperate attempt to make sure to be in touch with their religion and thereby feel whole. It's interesting to note that while some might view these low-tech solutions as archaic, the Orthodox Jewish communities in the desert see them as a form of wisdom, living proof of the idea that progress does not always mean complexity. By embracing natural energy sources like solar power and wood heat, they have found a way to live sustainably and harmoniously with the environment. In a world increasingly worried about climate change and energy consumption, their practices offer valuable insights into how we might one day return to a more balanced relationship with nature. Of course, not every community in the desert lives entirely off the grid. Some have modern utilities at their disposal but choose to limit their use for religious or philosophical reasons. On the Sabbath, for example, many Orthodox families use preset timers to operate their solar systems, avoiding any direct interaction with electronic devices. This adherence to tradition is not a rejection of modernity, but rather an affirmation of a way of life that prioritizes mindfulness and communal integrity over convenience. So what does this mean for the future? As technology continues to advance, it's likely that these communities will find even more innovative ways to blend the old with new. Hybrid seems that combining solar heating with the reliability of wood stoves are already being tested, ensuring that warm water isn't available even when the desert sky is overcast. Insulated water jackets too are evolving, with modern materials enhancing their efficiency while still following age-old principles. The goal is always the same: to live in a way that respects both tradition and nature, and that strengthens the bond of community. However, this lifestyle is not without its challenges, of course. The desert is an unforgiving environment, and every day brings with it its own set of obstacles. Yet, it is precisely these challenges that have forged a culture of ingenuity and resilience. The daily task of ensuring a steady supply of warm water welcomes a ritual, a time to pause, reflect, and appreciate the gift of nature. Could our fast-paced, technology-driven lives learn from the measured, mindful approach of these who have made the desert their home? There is much wisdom to be found in the way these communities balance tradition with innovation, creating a life that is not only sustainable but also profoundly meaningful. What do you make of all this? Let us know in the comments. Like and share if you're amazed by how people thrive in the harshest conditions. And if you think surviving without electricity is impressive, wait till you hear the trick the Jewish people use to keep chickens laying egg all year. Subscribe to the channel.